The baby kicked softly as Oluchi adjusted her seatbelt. Outside, the Enugu sun burnt hot over the traffic. Hawkers shouted, moving between traffic, selling water and plantain chips. She was 7 months pregnant, but couldn't miss her best friend Ijoma's burial. Ijoma wasn't just a friend. She had been like a sister. They had worked together for years at the bank, shared food, gossip, even pregnancy dreams. Her death still felt like a nightmare. Oluchi, are you sure you want to go? Her husband, Chidi, asked again that morning, watching her pack tissues and bottled water into her bag. She smiled faintly. She was my best friend. I have to say goodbye. He sighed, lowering his voice. You know what Mama always said? Pregnant women shouldn't attend funerals. Please, Oluchi. She rolled her eyes. Chidi, this is 2025, not 1925. Nothing will happen. It's just a burial. He didn't argue again, but the worry in his eyes stayed with her long after she left home. The drive took 2 hours. Her younger sister, Ifeoma, sat beside her in the car, humming quietly to the radio. I still can't believe Ijoma is gone, Ifeoma said. Oluchi nodded. She was so full of life. I just need closure, that's all. When they got to Ijoma's compound, the atmosphere was heavy. The yard was full. White canopies, women in black wrappers, and the sound of crying filled the air. The pastor's voice echoed from the microphone, talking about life's vanity and the mystery of death. Oluchi's hand stayed on her belly as she took a seat. A woman whispered behind her, You're pregnant, my dear. You shouldn't be here. Oluchi smiled weakly. It's fine, Ma. I'll stay for a short while. The woman shook her head. You don't break certain rules, no matter how modern you think you are. When it was time to view the body, she followed the line. Ijoma lay calm in her coffin, hands folded over white roses. Rest well, my friend EJ, Oluchi whispered. I will miss you. Suddenly, her baby twisted sharply inside her. She froze. You okay? Her sister Ifeoma asked. Yes. Oluchi forced a smile. Maybe it's just the heat. By the time they left, she felt dizzy but ignored it. She hadn't eaten since morning, so she blamed it on hunger. Only later did she realize her gold bracelet was gone. She searched the car, her bag, even the ground. Nothing, she sighed. Maybe it's in the compound. I'll call someone tomorrow. That night, at home, she showered, ate dinner, and tried to sleep. Chidi lay beside her, scrolling through his phone. She smiled at Chidi. See, nothing bad happened. He didn't answer immediately. Still, you shouldn't have gone. But before sleep came, she felt something wet on her thigh. She turned on the light quickly. It was a small streak of blood. Her heart dropped. Chidi, she screamed. Her baby hadn't moved since they got home. He rushed her to the hospital as heavy rain poured. On the way, Oluchi held her belly, whispering prayers through tears. At the hospital, the nurses helped her onto a bed and ran quick checks. After a few checks, the nurse's face grew tense. Madam, your baby's heartbeat is slowing. We'll monitor you overnight. Oluchi trembled. Please just save my baby. The nurse nodded quietly, but her eyes said something else, fear. As Chidi spoke to the nurses, Oluchi overheard them whisper. She started bleeding not long after she came back from a burial. Chidi said to the nurses, please, just make sure she and the baby are okay. Ah, a burial. That's not good. Pregnant women and funerals don't mix. Another nurse replied quietly. My mother used to say the same thing. The rain beat harder on the window as Oluchi stared at the ceiling, praying. Morning came, but Oluchi hadn't slept. The hospital smelled of medicine and fear. She kept her hand on her stomach, waiting for a kick, but nothing moved. The doctor walked in, tired and gentle. "Good morning, Mrs. Okafor," he said gently. "How are you feeling?" "My baby hasn't moved," Oluchi whispered, her voice trembling. He nodded. "We'll do another scan," he said. "Try not to panic." But how could she not panic when her baby was so quiet? Chidi sat beside her, holding her hand. "You'll be fine," he whispered. Oluchi turned to the wall, tears slipping down her face. "I shouldn't have gone," she murmured. A nurse came in to check her drip. She was an older woman with calm eyes. "You went to a burial, right?" the nurse asked softly. While adjusting the IV line, Oluchi blinked. "Yes." "How did you know?" The nurse sighed. "Word spreads. Don't worry, I'm not judging, but my mother used to say, a pregnant woman carries two spirits, her own and the one of her unborn child. That's why they should never stand where the spirit of death just passed." Oluchi's body went cold. "I'm not saying that's what's wrong," the nurse added quickly. "Just pray, my dear." When her mother arrived that evening, she hugged her tightly. "Didn't I warn you?" her mother cried. "Life must never walk where death just passed." Oluchi shook her head weakly. "Mama, it was just a funeral." Her mother's voice trembled. "You don't understand. Some things are not meant for the living to witness." That night, as the hospital grew quiet, Oluchi woke up around 2 a.m. to a sound, tap, tap, tap. Her heart jumped. The window beside her bed shivered softly, as if something touched it. "Chidi," she whispered. "Do you hear that?" He sat up, half asleep. He listened. Nothing. "It's probably the rain," he said. But there was no rain. Oluchi turned slowly toward the window and froze. There were faint hand marks sliding down the glass. She gasped and shut her eyes. When she opened them again, they were gone. "Maybe I'm dreaming," she whispered, trembling. Chidi checked outside the corridor, empty. "See? Nothing," he said, forcing a smile. But when he turned away, Oluchi's heart stopped, because on the glass again, faint and fresh, a small fingerprint appeared to the size of a baby's hand. By morning, Oluchi's test results came. The doctor said everything looked normal. No infection, no blood clot, no sign of distress. "The baby is fine now," he assured her. But Oluchi frowned. "Then why do I still feel so weak?" He shrugged. "Sometimes the body reacts to emotional shock. Just rest." 3 days later, Oluchi was discharged. The family went home relieved, but something in her body still didn't feel the same. Her appetite was gone. Her sleep was filled with strange dreams, faces she didn't recognize, people calling her name from far away. And every morning, she woke up with the same dull pain in her lower stomach. Her mother visited often, bringing herbs and sprinkled holy water and prayed over her bed. "My daughter," she said, "you cross paths with the dead. You must pray harder." One afternoon, her mother sat quietly beside her and said, "When I was pregnant with you, my mother told me if a woman carrying life walks through death's path, something must be exchanged." Oluchi's eyes widened. "Exchanged? What do you mean?" "Mama, please, don't make me more scared." Her mother's voice shook. "The spirit of death gets curious. Sometimes it reaches out and touches." That night, Oluchi dreamed again. She stood near Ijioma's grave. A dark shadow held something small, a sleeping baby. The voice said, "You gave what was not yours to give." Oluchi woke up screaming. Chidi held her tight. "It's just a dream. It's okay," he said. But his hands trembled too. Her mother didn't waste time. The next day, she insisted on taking her to a prayer house on the outskirts of town. The building smelled of candle wax and incense. An old woman sat at the altar. Dressed in white, she welcomed them. Her voice was calm, yet heavy with wisdom. "You stood where life and death shook hands," she said slowly. Oluchi's voice broke. "I didn't mean to." "I know," the woman replied. "But the spirit of death mistook your baby's light for a wandering one. That is why the child sleeps too deeply inside of you." Chidi's eyes filled with tears. "Can it be fixed?" The woman nodded slowly. "Yes. But it will cost prayer, fasting, and faith. She must never return to that place again, not until she has given birth or attend any funeral when pregnant." They prayed together for hours. The woman anointed Oluchi's belly, whispering, "Let the child who belongs to life return to the living." Oluchi cried until she couldn't anymore. That night, back home, she fell asleep with her hands on her stomach. Around midnight, she woke up suddenly this time, not from fear, but from a familiar movement. Her baby had kicked. A gentle kick, then another. She gasped and shook Chidi awake. The baby moved. He sat up, eyes wide. "Are you sure?" "Yes, yes," she cried, laughing through her tears. "She's moving again." Chidi held her tightly, whispering thanks to God. The next morning, her mother called and cried over the phone when she heard the news. Oluchi smiled for the first time in days, but even in her joy, a quiet lesson had settled in her heart, one she would never forget. Weeks later, Oluchi gave birth to a healthy baby girl. They named her Adaora, the daughter of life. And whenever someone mentioned Ijeoma, Oluchi would smile softly and say, "Some taboos are not superstition. They are warnings born from wisdom, but the world had simply forgotten." Every time she passed a burial ground, she would touch her child's heart and whisper, "Life must never walk where death has just passed."